Well, we go as Millport Dairy, and my name is John King, and this is 743 East Millport Road, Leola. We take a lot of eggs to New York City, and that's where we got started, and we started selling them here, and we just keep selling more and more. The people like these eggs because the chickens can go out, and we have a real rich yolk. We have an orange yolk, and they're fed special feed. They're fed a GMO free. Oh yeah, there's quite a few chickens out here. Yeah, they'd love to go out there and pick on the grass, but there's no grass there to pick. It's all covered. Oh, birds. Yeah, we gotta watch the hawks. We don't have too much trouble here. There's not that many trees right here. Fox get close, but they can't get in. Yeah, on this side they have to come out, and they come down the steps. They probably made it that these can't open because there's no place to go. Everything's snow today. Sometimes they're just out here on the platform when it's snowy, but there's snow on there. Now, you step right up here. There'd actually be room for twice as many chickens in here. This house is big enough for 5,000, but we never had it filled up. She's checking it out. Now, at nighttime, these close because if they don't, some chickens will go in there and sleep in there, and we don't want them to do that. The water is continuous, yeah. Yeah, it's important to have fresh water. See, they learn how to operate that thing. Water comes when they touch that. If chickens are out of water for a day, it affects the production. There we go. Probably won't be many coming because they did them. They already did the eggs. Most of the eggs are laid in the forenoon. Now these are the dirty eggs. These have to be washed. They just clean them by hand. There's usually not that many. There they have some in boxes. That's egg cooling room. This is where they go as soon as they're done with them. They bring them in here to cool them or to keep them cool. We're supplying quite a few restaurants in New York City, but they, of course, don't need eggs right now. To New York, yeah, we normally, now this week he's not taking quite as many, but most times there's 30 dozen in a case. Most times he takes 30 or 32 cases. Around 45 dozen a day, but we're not open Sundays. It really increased last spring, and it just keeps increasing. There's more and more people find out about these great eggs, and they come and check it out and buy eggs. Yeah. And we sell a lot more eggs and cheese here than we used to. There's quite a few eggs in there right now, and my cheese. Fridays and Saturdays is more or less the biggest day, and this is all refrigerated. My cheese inspector inspects this also 3 to 4 times a year. Usually when they come to inspect the cheese house, and they'll just take a look here. Just the selling part of it. Well, number one, it's an affordable thing to eat, and as far as I'm concerned, it's a healthy. I'm an old timer. I eat every day. I eat 2 eggs. Very few days I skip that. That's just part of my diet. I gotta have my eggs. We have a lot of people tell us the reason they come here is because they know the chickens go out. They see them.
I'm Earl Martin. We're here in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, here in my chicken house. I grew up on the farm here. This is 50 acres. We have 20,000 birds in our chicken house here. I'm the 3rd generation on this farm.
So a lot of the smaller farms in the area don't have the ability to sell to a Costco or a Weis Markets or a Trader Joe's, for example. Those companies, as they've grown, those grocery stores, they need larger volumes than a lot of the smaller farms in this area can provide.
My chicken house here is cage-free. That means I don't have cages. The birds are loose on the inside. Free range for souders to market the eggs, free range. They need to have outdoor access. The small door here is where they would come out normally. Those on a day when it's nice out, we open those doors at 12 o'clock and leave them open until 5 or 6 in the evening. And yeah, they'll come out and scratch in the grass and you know, pick up bugs and whatever. Certified Humane regulations require that we have 2 square feet per bird for outdoor access, 1.2 square feet per bird indoor. Yes, we have a whole book of Certified Humane standards we need to comply by. It's pretty straightforward. They will check up on us at least once a year, and that's usually an inspection that lasts 3 or 4 hours. And they do a very good job. I'm very comfortable working with Certified Humane. I have almost 20,000 birds in the barn. They're laying right now at 96%. Now 96% of the birds are laying an egg every day. So this is the feeders, and the water lines are here where they get their water. Then this is our nesting system. They'll go in here on their own to lay their eggs. And they come and go on their own as they wish. I usually pack around 19,000 eggs a day. There's 10,800 eggs on a skid, 900 dozen on a skid. This chicken house we built 5 years ago, and we've enjoyed the process here. Shipped to souders for all those 5 years and have a very good relationship with them. And that was about 4 days worth. Most times he comes once a week to pick up the eggs out of the cooler. I usually have around 15 skids, but they were here on Thursday, so I only had 8 this morning.
So my name is Mark Souder. I am the 4th generation owner of Souder Eggs, and we are a marketing and distribution company at heart. So our core business is working with local small-scale family farms, buying the product from those farmers and then distributing it out into the marketplace. Okay, here we are at one of our grading facilities. You've already seen the farm. This is kind of the next process of the eggs. So this part of the process, we're taking the raw agricultural product that comes from the farm, we're taking it off of the reusable packaging, the reusable flats, and we're running it through a washer, sanitizing the shell of the egg, making sure that we don't have any manure or any foodborne illnesses that could be, or bacteria that could create a foodborne illness on the shell of the egg. So there's a series of brushes inside of there, and then we're putting hot water over top of the eggs. We have to have the water at a certain temperature. We also have to maintain a certain pH. And so what we're doing is we're first washing, and then we're sanitizing the shell. So this part of the business, we really don't change the product that the chicken is producing. All we're doing is trying to reduce bacterial load or any foodborne illnesses that may come from agriculture by sanitizing the shell of the egg. And then once it gets to the other end, then we're doing our quality checks. So we're looking for checks. We're looking for any eggs that still have manure or any kind of dirty on the outside. And those get separated out into the first lane, which goes to a breaker, and they turn it into liquid eggs. So if you go to a Sheetz or somewhere like that and you get an egg sandwich, that comes from liquid eggs. It's been pasteurized, and then the shell eggs just move on down the line. What you're seeing here is some of the different types of packaging that we use in the egg industry going into different customers. So the first line you see here is a flat, which is going into your restaurants. So that type of service, or your hotels, that type of thing. Then you see a styrofoam packaging, a couple different varieties thereof. And one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is, in this day and age, most packaging or most landfills are built so that there is no biodegradability. They make sure that you don't have water and you don't have oxygen. They're trying to avoid seepage and those types of things. But the result of that is, it doesn't matter what material put into that landfill, it's not going to biodegrade. So while there is a common perception that pulp is better for the environment, what we found through various studies is actually pulp requires more energy to make, because you have to heat up the pulp, add stuff to it, make it wet, form it, then spend all this energy to dry it. Reality is PET, which is effectively recycled water bottles, is actually the most sustainable. There's a worldwide recyclability chain, or a chain for people to handle that product, but a lot of people don't understand that, and because it is based in petroleum, a lot of people give that a bad rep. But in reality, PET, or clear plastic, is actually the type of packaging we should be using from an environmental standpoint. Our company has spent a lot of time focusing on food safety. And while the inside of the egg doesn't get altered here at the facility, what we do is we do track every single pallet that comes into the facility, and we use a barcode system. So when we pick it up at the farm, from the time we pick it up at the farm, the whole way through when we deliver it to an individual store, not just the customer, but the individual store, we know exactly where that egg came from, when it was laid. We have information back to the feed, all of the testing on the farm that we've done to ensure that we don't have salmonella, we don't have any other issues at the farm, and through all of our quality records here at the facility as well. So at any given time, I can look at a finished goods from a store, and I can go back and I can see the records, whether we've been maintaining the proper pH in our wash system, where the eggs came from, how they graded out, as well as all of our records from the farm to ensure that we're meeting both animal welfare standards as well as food safety standards, so that we have the best product on the shelf for everybody. Here in this facility and all of our facilities, we're audited on a regular basis. So we have an annual audit that goes through all of our paperwork, as well as all of our best practices. Are our employees trained? Do they know how to handle things? Are we taking care of all the little things around the facility? Do we have any rodent issues? All those types of things come into it. So that's an annual. We're also audited by the Pennsylvania Department of Health, Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. They come into the facilities typically quarterly. They check our product in the coolers to make sure that we're doing what we say we are as far as the product is grade A. They check our records to make sure we're maintaining pH in the washers, those types of things. So we have quite a few audits that we do in the facility itself, on top of all of the food safety audits and animal welfare audits we do at the farm. So today there are many forms of marketing and many words used to describe eggs, and a lot of that can be confusing. So it's really straightforward once you understand what the different terms mean. So we have conventional eggs, which are birds that are kept in cages that produce eggs for the conventional market. So if it doesn't have a call out on the package, then you can assume that the eggs inside of that package are conventional and or caged. So the next step is cage-free, which really is we have a large barn and the birds are able to roam inside the barn. They have a nest they can go into to lay their eggs. They have perches, they have feeders, and they have scratch areas that they can scratch and do their natural behaviors. The next step above cage-free is free range. So free range, we have the same inside the barn area, but we also allow the birds to go outside. And then the next step above that would be pasture raised. So in a pasture raised environment, it's the same idea, we have the same space inside, but now we're giving them an even greater amount of room outside. So as you go up in the amount of farmland that you're dedicating, or land that you're dedicating to production of eggs, obviously the price has to go up, because you're losing some of those eggs out in the grass in the pasture, because they don't always come inside to lay their egg, even though we want them to. But then you also have that land cost associated with that you have to be able to recoup that cost as a landowner, or you could be doing something else with it, whether it be pasturing cattle or grains or whatever the case may be on that particular farm. So Lancaster County is a great home. We've got fantastic soil, so it's a great place to grow grains, which is obviously we need grains to feed our chickens. We also have a lot of small family farms, so 50, 100, 150 acre farms, and so for us that's extremely important. We need those small family farms to produce the eggs for us so that we can continue to play our role. So Souter Eggs has long been a supporter of Lancaster Farmland Trust because it's vital to us, and so we're very lucky that we have the abundance of farmland in this area that we can produce far more than our local society needs, and then we can feed the larger cities on the northeast. Souder Eggs employs around 400 people across 3 different states, and our eggs go from Florida to Maine to Illinois, but the majority of them are sold here in the Northeast. So Souder Eggs as a whole, throughout our 5 different processing facilities, we process and sell about 1.5 billion eggs per year. Typically it takes 1 chicken per person to supply the market for eggs in the United States, and we market for about 6.5 million chickens. So we're feeding about 6.5 million people on an annual basis here in the United States.
The driving factor behind cage-free is consumer-driven, and to supply that demand, a farmer needs to adapt to what the consumer wants.
Consumer behavior is changing. So consumers want to know more about where their eggs come from, where their food comes from in general. So we're definitely trying to connect consumers with the farms as much as we can, which actually fits right into who we are. We've been working with small family farms for 4 generations. Common misconceptions about eggs.
So one misperception a lot of people have is that eggs are extremely fragile. And while they are, in reality, if you hold an egg tip to tip, they're extremely strong. Think about ancient buildings. They used arches to add support, and they were extremely strong structures that could hold a lot of weight. Well, an egg is basically 2 arches. While around the belly, they can be very easily damaged. If just pressure up and down, they're very, very strong.
I think one of the most often or unique comments we get is when people hard boil an egg, sometimes the brown eggs will lose color. So I've had a number of incidences over my career where people have come and said, you know, you're painting your eggs, or you're using shoe polish on your eggs to make them brown so that you can sell them for more money. And in reality, it's simply a coating that the animal puts onto the shell of the egg. And what I always ask them is, were you hard boiling the egg with some vinegar in the water, which is a common thing a lot of people do. Turns out vinegar will actually start to remove that membrane or coating that the animal will put onto the shell. And so that's something that I've definitely been accused of in the past.
A common misconception is that, well, an egg is not all that healthy. I think we're getting over that some.
Eggs are definitely a staple of the American diet and continues to grow faster than the rate of population. And I think the reason for that is a couple things. One, they're fairly easy to make. Pretty much anybody can fry an egg in a pan or scramble an egg. Pretty easy to do. Even young kids learn that, you know, as one of their first things they learn how to cook. So that's one of the reasons that they're so easy. But they're cost effective. So when you look at buying a pound of beef or a pound of chicken, enough to feed a family of 4, you can feed a family of 4 with eggs as your protein for under $2. And you really can't do that with chicken or beef or pork or some of the other proteins in the world. So I think those are the 2 key drivers, but also we're finding out more and more that eggs are healthy for you, and there's lots of vitamins and minerals inside the egg that are good for us.